Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 126. Today is week 14 in our new series, The Path Back to You. If you're new to this series, we are taking 1 year to discover how to become who we're meant to be. Each month, we dive into a new topic. And this month is all about removing shame and shedding limiting beliefs. Today, we're talking about if your life feels small, it's time to shed your limiting beliefs. Let's get started and take this next step on the path back to you. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to 3, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. Last week, we talked about how shame disconnects us from our true self. Well, shame and limiting beliefs, they're like two sides of the same coin. Shame tells us that we are bad and wrong, and often limiting beliefs can tell us that others are bad and wrong. Often, a limiting belief, it isn't something we even realize we agree with until we stop believing it. That's what makes them so hard to identify. But typically, these are beliefs that we have about what leads to success, what's going to get us a good life, or what makes us a good person. It's like some sort of script that we believe we have to stick to if we want the fairy tale ending. And usually, we are so young when we get handed this script that we don't even have the tools to question whether it's true or real or leading to any kind of happy ending that we actually want. Let me give you an example. Here's one most people from most conservative cultures can relate to. I was raised with very clear feedback on what was considered bad and what was considered good. And I'm going to talk more about this in a future chapter when I talk about breaking up with good girl culture. But for now, let me just say this. I was taught growing up that drinking is bad, smoking is bad, having sex before marriage is bad, dressing provocatively is bad, cussing is bad, watching R-rated movies is bad. You get the point. And these points were driven home so much to the point where I genuinely believed during my childhood that not only were these acts bad, but the people that did them were bad people. It's like there was this equation, right? Where a good life and a good person plus any one of these bad activities equaled a bad person. And the only way I could have a good life was to perfectly avoid all the bad activities. It wasn't until I went to college and was away from my hometown and around new faces that I started to realize for myself, wait a second, some of the nicest people that I have met here do some of these things. And I don't think that they're bad people. And I don't think that they lead bad lives. It was the first time I really started to question the beliefs that had been programmed into me, what I now know to be limiting beliefs. See, when truth meets limiting beliefs, they are exposed for what they actually are. Fear. Like me, maybe you were also taught that there is a right way to do things and there is a wrong way to do things. There are right choices that you can make and there are wrong choices you can make. Let me give you an example. Going to college after you finish high school, right choice. Getting married after you graduate college, right choice. Have kids after you get married, right choice. But the truth? Let's talk about the truth. There is no right or wrong choice. There is only truth. There is only what is right and true for each person. For example, if someone wants to be an architect, they have to have a specific license, and the only way to obtain this is by going to college. So, college would be the most true path for that person. Not because it'll guarantee them a good life, but because it is required for the path that they want. And if somebody wants to be a professional makeup artist, maybe college is absolutely a true path for them. Or maybe working at a makeup counter, interning for an incredible makeup artist, or moving to LA and honing their craft working on movie sets is a truer path for them. Now, one of these paths looks more conventional and one might involve more risk, but one isn't good and the other bad. One isn't right and the other wrong. Either choice could be the wrong fit for the wrong person. And yet, too often, we find ourselves believing that there's only one way to a good life, only to realize too late that we were lied to. And if this is you, hey, no judgment. I'm the 40 something divorced entrepreneur wearing crop tops in my conservative hometown, selling nude female figure paintings online and writing about the moon cycles. I've seen some shit, and I have run headfirst into some limiting beliefs, and I have spent years tearing them down in search for truth. Once you uncover a limiting belief, it's kind of like pulling a loose piece of yarn from a knit sweater. Everything is going to unravel. When you feel like you're losing your mind, I'm here to help you restore your soul. A few years ago, I woke up and felt like everything in my life was a lie. I didn't recognize myself or any of the people around me. For the first time in my life, I questioned everything I had ever been taught or told. I didn't know what was true anymore, and I felt like everything I knew was slipping away from me. I went through a complete dark night of the soul until I was forced by something much more powerful than me and my fears to stop running from myself and start facing the truth. That the pain in my life wasn't coming from the world around me, but from the pain inside me. I remember thinking, what if the cause of your pain and the cure for your pain is the same? You. That's what my program, The Path Back to You, is all about. Not starting over, but starting again on a path that will return you to yourself, a path that will heal and refine you, a path that will break you and make you whole. When searching for answers to what felt like an all at once, completely sudden, never ending list of questions with no answers, all I found was the advice just sit with yourself and heal. All the answers are inside of you. And I remember thinking, gee, thanks. That's helpful. I know I need to heal, and I'm willing and ready to do the work to do that, but how? Where do I begin? Well, it took some time, but after years of therapy, researching on my own, trial and error, mess ups and setbacks, I found my way back home, back to myself. In the path back to you, I share with you my own personal story of struggle and trauma as a sacred offering. My hope is that through my story, you can better see yourself. I share with you my darkest moments and the steps I took to find my light, the light I had dimmed for most of my life. Throughout all the heartache I've endured, I've finally found peace, and I want to share my roadmap with you. If any of this resonates with you, trust that this episode found you for a reason. Trust the divine intervention. Those brave enough to have embarked on a healing journey know how incredibly lonely and painful it is. I remember feeling completely isolated, like I didn't even belong in this world anymore. It was scary as hell. But I want you to know you are not alone. While I fully believe healing is a solo journey, I think it's totally okay to have a roadmap and a pathfinder who has gone before you to guide you as you return home to you. Join me on the path back to you. Click the link in the show notes or go to jessicazimmerman.com to learn more. And just for you, podcast listeners can get 15% off with code PATH15. That's PATH15. So take your time, hold on to what is true, and know that the work you are doing is worth it. Because those limiting beliefs, they aren't helping you. They aren't protecting you. They are lies based in fear, and they'll make you crazy. They'll have you believing that a good and full life isn't possible for you. That because you did everything right and life is still hard, you must be broken. You're not broken, and you are not alone. But you have been believing a lie. And now, it's time to start finding the truth. And that, my friend, is why we are on this path back to you. To learn more about shedding limiting beliefs, come join my course, The Path Back to You. We have extended cuts of not just this week's post, but every week in this series. It's so much great content, journal prompts, workbooks, meditations, and more tools to help you rebuild your life when all these limiting beliefs get torn down. Click the link in the show notes or description to learn more and to join us. Thank you so much for joining me today as we journey together on this path back to you. I hope what you heard resonated with you and you can take it with you into your week. If you're looking for more resources for the journey, go to jessicazimmerman.com, and while you're there, check out the Path Back to You course page. I'll see you right back here next week for our next leg of the journey.